Good morning. This morning we are with Claudia Riel, who was an instructor in the 80s and one of the coordinators. So I'm going to let Claudia introduce herself. Claudia, if you'd introduce yourself, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your educational background and your your time at
little personal
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Little education.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Kathy, I really started my education in nursing at the University of Nevada. I had 2 years of pre-law, and my roommate's anatomy and physiology book was so much more interesting.
Oh, that's funny.
So I went into nursing. Nursing's been good to me. Sherry and I both did a master's of nursing and a master's of education together in the 80s.
I have your graduation picture.
Yeah, so it was, nursing has been great. Nursing education has been absolutely wonderful. I followed a little bit in Sherry's footsteps and went into emergency medical services education and RN nursing in the 90s.
Okay.
But personally, I have 2 children. I have a son who is a veteran, still working for the DOD. In fact, I spoke to him this morning. He is in Germany and very much on that edge with Ukraine. And our daughter is a nurse. She works here locally in Montrose at the emergency room and is in the cardiac cath lab. I had an aunt that was a nurse and medical son-in-law's physician.
Runs in the family.
Yeah, it runs in the family.
And you talked a little bit about your education. You went back to school and got your doctorate, correct?
I did. I went back and got my PhD in education, and it was staff development and teacher ed, because both Sherry and I felt that we needed to know more about education and how to learn and how to share that learning and teach. During the 80s?
Yeah, during the 80s.
Health and Montrose. Well, I can remember going in and discussing pay and salary, and alongside of me was the person that was assuming the responsibility for the welding program. And the director of the school at the Delta Montrose Votech said to me, it was Harry Anderson, and he said to me, remember this was the 80s.
Yeah.
He said to me, Claudia, I cannot afford to really pay what your experience and background and this gentleman's experience and background deserve. So I have a decision. You are not the sole wage earner in your family. So you are going to take a lower salary.
Wow.
And he will get the salary as a sole wage earner for his family.
Wow.
At that time, I made sense to me. Doesn't make sense to me today. But that was a big challenge that often we were not paid for the hours that we put in. Teaching is a 14, 18-hour day as you prepare lesson plans and gather equipment and are there early and they're late at the facility. And then both Sherry and I continued working at Montrose Memorial Hospital to keep our skills current. And the other thing is it was a tremendous network for us because it allowed us to have clinicals. And the staff knew us, the physicians knew us, they knew us as nurses in the ER and out on the floor, and they welcomed our students. And the physicians would literally if they had a patient that needed attention and needed oversight and a little more on hands, they would say, "Are the students here today? I want a student assigned to this patient."
That's awesome. That speaks highly of you.
The biggest compliment. So juggling personal time, juggling professional time, and the success of the students, we tried to give them enough knowledge so that they were successful on their boards. And we had a wonderful rate of pass rate for those. But to give them that, also that experience at the bedside, and to have them be able to think independently, but always to remember, what am I missing? What am I missing? What more can I do at the bedside?
Yes, exactly.
And they took that and ran with it.
Exactly. All right, that's good. And anything other successes that you can want to share?
Boy, did we have fun at graduation.
Really?
Yes.
Tell us about your graduations back then.
Our graduations back then were held at a community church, and the families and friends were there, and the program really focused on the students and their accomplishments, where they came from, what they were doing, where they were going, and that Florence Nightingale carrying the candle to symbolize the light.
Absolutely.
That was our graduation, and we enjoyed it.
I think they've built on that. I mean, I think they retained that, I should say, over the years.
Right.
And the class of 2020, when COVID hit, was the first class not to have a formal graduation. They didn't have any. They didn't want one on the line. They were tired of their Zoom by then. So we just did nothing for them. And we tried to do it later, but they were already off at CMU getting their bachelor's degrees. So, all right. So if you reflect back on your time at the practical nursing program, can you have any specific positive memories or funny memories or anything that you'd like to share?
I remember one student that we had potlucks frequently, and we all brought a dish, and it didn't matter what kind of a dish, but she brought brownies, and she spiked them with marijuana. Now remember, this was in the 80s. And
we call those Alice B. Toklas brownies or something. Yeah.
Something like that. But some students literally got ill because they didn't eat enough of anything else, and she didn't tell us until afterwards. And you can imagine that some people just shrugged it right off. Other people
were upset.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I remember that incident.
That's the 80s.
And I look back on that and I think about how we feel about marijuana today, and how it can be beneficial and how it can be detrimental, and its success and the failures that we have faced both economically and politically with marijuana use. And I just remember that incident of the brownies.
Absolutely.
And that would
stick out in my mind as well.
It did. So it was one of those heartbreaking moments and one of those funny moments to remember.
Absolutely. Anything else funny, or anything else in general that you'd like to share before we end today?
I think I would like to share my gratitude for the students, the graduates. And it would be so nice to be able to know what they're doing, how they took their nursing education, because whether they used it or not, whether they used it as a stepping stone, they still have that knowledge and those experiences. And the fact that you come to nursing because you care and you want to give of yourself. You don't do it for the money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You come away tired, sometimes happy, sometimes heartbroken, but you give so much of yourself. And I think I would like to thank those students and what they gave to us back. They gave more to us than we could ever give to them.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, hopefully we get some 80s graduates at our celebration that'll be able to hear your words.
Right.
And we'll get this up online somewhere. So, all right. I guess that concludes it for today, unless you have anything else you'd like to add.
I don't. And thank you, Kathy, for doing this. Well, thank you for devoting the hours and the time.
Thank you for being here. It was a unique program and worth preserving all of the trials and tribulations that it went through over the years.
And to those people who continued that program and who began the program and laid the foundation for it down there for nursing education here in the Valley.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.